Hi, I'm Aaron Wheat, and today I'm going to make a wood rack that's going to go on this wall right here. The rack design is very simple. I got it out of a popular woodworking issue. It just uses 2x4s, some bolts, and galvanized pipe. I'm going to mount four 8-foot long 2x4s to the studs behind this wall. I will need to cut grooves in the bottom of the boards so that they will overlap the wall's baseboards. Of course, the 2x4s were straight at the lumber yard, but then warped after being in my garage for a few days. I don't have to straighten them for this kind of project, but straightening them will make them easier to work with and make the project more precise. The first step to straightening a board is to flatten one of its face sides. It is best to start with the concave side of the board first, but some boards can be warped in multiple directions that you just have to start with any side that works best. I'm making sure to apply only enough downward pressure to make the board slide across the table properly. Too much pressure and the warp won't be worked out of the board. The next step is to straighten an edge of the board. Again, the concave side is preferred as the starting edge. I have the straight face of the board set up against the back fence so that the edge of the board can be cut 90 degrees to it. Because this board is badly warped, I am switching the starting end back and forth to help even out the straightening process. Now the board is straight down two of its sides. The third step is to run the second face of the board through the planer so that both bases will be parallel with each other. The final step in straightening is to run the last rough edge through the table saw. I first measure for the thinnest part of my boards and set the table saw fence to that distance so that all boards will be the same width. All four sides are now straight. But since it's construction grade wood, it will warp again in another hour, so I need to work fast. I didn't lose much dimension off the board, only about 1/4 of an inch in width and thickness. I will now mark for drilling the holes where I will insert the galvanized pipe to be used as shelves. I am marking the lines for the top of the holes instead of the center of the holes. This is so it'll be easier to line up the drill bit. I'll show why later in this video. Here I am marking all four boards at once based on the measurements of the first board I marked. The studs in the wall are 2x6s, so I'm using 8-inch long lag bolts that will go through both the 2x4s and the 2x6s. These next lines I am marking are for the bolt holes. Now to get ready to make the pipe shelf holes. I want the pipe shelves to be mounted at an angle leaning towards the wall. This is so that anything stored on them won't want to fall off. Using a machinist protractor, I will set an angle of 3 degrees. The table of my drill press was not made to be easily adjusted at angles. So, to prevent from having to deal with that mess, I will set a board on the table to reference the angle. This way, the edge of the table and the edge of the board will be the resting places for my workpiece and give me the proper angle. The underside of the drill press has support members sticking out, so I will use wood blocks to allow for the clamps to clamp down evenly.
This is how the board will rest at the 3-degree angle while drilling. I will first drill a test piece and check for accuracy. There is a little play for the pipe in the hole, and this small amount is perfect. Checking the angle while pressing against the pipe, as if it had weight on it, I can see that the pipe has a final resting position of 2.5 degrees. This will work great. Here you can see that using the reference line for the top of the hole helps for lining up the bit while the board is placed at an angle. I am using 1/2-inch diameter galvanized pipe, so a 3/4 inch Forstner bit works perfectly to make a hole for the pipe to slide into. Since I am working alone and drilling with a small drill press table, I will clamp the board to free up my hands and keep the board straight. This is the process I used for drilling and repositioning the board for all 4 holes in each board. A support at the far end of the board would work best, but I don't have one and I didn't want to spend the time and wood to make one. I will make a proper drill press table after I get more of my shop set up. These are the completed shelf holes that lined up very nicely. It is time to drill the bolt holes in the 2x4s. I don't want to make the holes too large yet. I just want them to be the size of the inside diameter of the bolt, which is the same size hole I will drill into the wall. The purpose of this is so I can use the holes in the 2x4s to be my drill guide for perfectly aligned holes in the walls. I place the board flat on the drill press table to drill at 90 degrees. Twist-style drill bits can clog easily with wood, so it is important to pull out the bit every so often to keep the bit from jamming in the wood and overheating.